Hello, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Syahmir Amigol bin Roslini with a matrix number of 2020-982131 and I am from 2B4B. Civil surveying is an engineering process to record and collect data about land. Usually, there are three types of dimension that is need to be found on surveying engineering, like the angle, the distance between one point to one point, and a line. These three data are needed to help an engineer to draw a plan, a contour, to build a curve for a road, and many more. Basically, on this semester we have 4 labs. That is, the first one is to find angle and distance. The second lab is to find traverse. And the third lab is to setting out for the building, and the fourth one is setting out for curve. For the first lab, we are required to find a horizontal distance, a vertical distance, a horizontal angle, and a vertical angle for a place. Basically, to do this lab, we have to set out a few points, like 3 points or more, and then we have to find an angle and also the distance between one point to another point. Usually, all these data, that is horizontal angle, vertical angle, horizontal distance, and vertical distance, can be found using a total station. When doing this lab online, we have to use a Google Earth to find the horizontal distance and horizontal angle. But for the vertical distance, we have to use an elevation finder to find the height. And also, we need to use the Pythagoras theorem method to find the angle for vertical. From lab number 1, I'm able to gain a knowledge on how to find a horizontal and vertical distance and also angle by using a total station and also by using Google Earth. Traverse is a method in the field of surveying to establish a control network. Traverse also used in a geodesy. Traverse network is involving placing survey station along a line or a path of travel, and then using the previously surveying point as a base for the observation of the next point. Basically, there are two type of traverse, which is an open traverse and a closed traverse. Basically, open traverse are used to transfer a benchmark to a new place, which is called a temporary benchmark. To do an open traverse, we usually start at the benchmark and then we shoot for another point by finding an angle and also the distance from the first initial point. An angle from an open traverse are usually measured from the north 90 degrees to the point of where the point is. After getting a second point, we do the same process for the third point, fourth point, fifth point, until we get to the point that we want. And this usually shaped like a zigzag or a polyline. A closed traverse are used to show a shape or a perimeter for a closed area. Usually, when we start at the first point, we do a closed traverse and then we end up at the first point again. To do a closed traverse, we have to set an initial point and also the second point. From the first point to the second point, we have to find an angle and also the distance between the first and the second point. And then we repeat all of this process till the last point, which is the first point again. For the closed traverse, we have to make sure that the initial point and the starting point are connected and there is no gap between them. To find out if the traverse is really close, we have to calculate it by finding a northing and the easting. And the end result of the northing and easting should be 0. If it is not 0, and it is not close and it is not accurate. So from this lab, I learned on how to do an open and also a closed traverse by using a theodolite, and also I also learned on how to do a closed traverse by using Google Maps. Setting out for a building is a process where you have to mark a location or the point of the building on a new land. It can be from an existing building or a new building that is need to be built on that place. To do a setting out for a building, it was basically a pretty much the same process as you do for the closed traverse. You have to mark a point on every edges of the building, and then you collect a horizontal angle and also a horizontal distance. You can do this by using a total station, or you can do it by using Google Earth and also Protector. After getting all of this data, to make sure that the data is accurate, we can calculate it by calculating a northing and easting. From this lab, I have learned on how to set up a place for a new building to be built. Setting out for curve is basically the same like setting out for building, but for this time, we have to set out a route that is curve. Setting out for curve are usually used to make a route for an exit or maybe a building that is curved. To do a setting out for curve, we first need to find a tangent point. Tangent point has two, and it usually located at both ends of the curve. After finding two tangent points, we have to draw a line across the 2 points. With this straight line, we have to use a compass to find this line, and this is what we call a tangent line. Find a distance for a tangent line C1 and C2 from the point to the end of the line. To find a tangent length, we can use a formula r tan theta per 2. After that, we have to set an offset for a tangent line. To get an exactly the number of offset that we need for a curve, we can use a formula 0 is equal to r minus square root r2 minus x2. After that, you can construct a curve. From this lab, I'm able to know how to find curve for road by using a tangent line. Finally, I would like to thank you to all my friends and also Dr. Jason because he has taught me about survey engineering. Thank you very much. And I hope that we all can get a better understanding in survey engineering.